Hello and welcome to Auto Shenanigans. How the devil are you? Have you had a good week? My name is John. Thank you very much for joining me for another exciting episode of Secrets of the Motorway. In today's episode, I'm back in Berkshire on the south side of Maidenhead to take a look at the A404M motorway. At 2 miles long, you might say it's fairly pointless, but had the original plans for this motorway been carried out, we might have been looking at a far larger motorway known as the M4 and not the A404M. It all started as the A4M in 1961. This doesn't exist anymore, but the A4M was also known as the Maidenhead bypass, and it looked a bit like this. On a modern map, the A4M would have followed this route, and we can see where it incorporates a part of what would later become the A404M. A couple of years later, an extension was added to the east end of the A4M and the whole section renumbered as the M4. There were plans to extend the newly created M4 to the west, but they still hadn't decided what to do. The problem with the west extension is the town of Reading. Whilst there were a few route options, it simply came down to, do we send the motorway around the south of Reading or to the north? Having studied various maps, I've concluded that the choice they made was to send the motorway around the south of Reading, because the motorway goes around the south of Reading, but this map shows what might have happened had they sent the M4 around the north side of Reading. The west extension opened in 1971 and it meant significant changes to the A4M, now M4, because they installed a massive motorway junction where before there was nothing. The easiest thing to do is show you a satellite image because we can make out the old route that the A4M or the M4 used to take before the junction was added. The M4's extension resulted in a leftover motorway spur, and that's what gave us the A404M. Except it didn't. Once the M4 extension and all of that jazz was complete, the motorway spur was actually numbered as the A423M. Don't believe me? Well, check out this sign that still says A423M. It must be at least 40 years old. It wouldn't be until around 1990 that the motorway spur was numbered as the A404M, following a bit of reshuffling of the road numbers by the local council. Hopefully that all makes sense. It's quite a confusing motorway, having been renumbered so many times. But anyway, the Hollyport Interchange is where we find the start of the A404M, and as we touched on earlier, if you take a look at satellite images, you can see the old motorway outline quite clearly. What you can't see so easily is the now abandoned bridge, which used to be part of the 1961 A4M Maidenhead bypass, or old M4. You'll find it hiding out next to the A408M, which dissects the old motorway route. It's not an impressive structure. It was only installed to carry the motorway across a small brook, but it is a reminder of our early motorway network that perhaps not many people know about. The first junction arrives not long after leaving the Hollyport Interchange, and it's junction 9A. That doesn't make any sense. In the context of the M4, it makes a little bit more sense. If we pretend for a moment that the A404M is a spur of the M4, then yeah, junction 9A here might make a bit more sense. But it's not the M4, and therefore this should be junction 1 on the A404M. Yet, for reasons unknown, road planners decided to use the M4 as the basis for their junction numbering system. Junction 9A was constructed as part of the A4M or Maidenhead bypass, and therefore it's of late 50s, early 60s design. We've seen quite a few of these over the series, and the best word to describe them is usually dangerous. The slip roads here are particularly short and feature rather tight turns, so much so that a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit has been imposed on the slip roads. The next junction along is junction 9B, of course, and it's where the A404 comes to an end. When this used to be the old A4M or part of the M4, the motorway would just come to a stop at a roundabout, but things have been changed since then. You'll recall earlier that I mentioned the council did a little bit of reshuffling of all of the road numbers, and indeed part of that reshuffle happened here at junction 9B. Before these changes, the motorway used to terminate and meet up with the A423, and this offers a little bit of a hint as to why the A404M used to be called the A423M. Sometime around 1990, and the A423 was merged with the A404, and at the same time, junction 9B was changed from a roundabout into a proper motorway junction where the motorway would link up directly with the A404, hence the name change. And that's all I got. Honestly, this must be the most boring motorway we've done to date. When you drive along it, you don't really see anything other than trees on each side. And if we compare satellite images from 20 years ago to present day, we can see that absolutely all has changed. Furthermore, when they constructed the A404M, nobody really minded, and it didn't necessitate the demolition of half a town. It's just fine. So there we are then, guys. That's all I've got for this week. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, there is of course a button specifically for that. And if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. That'd be wicked sweet awesome. Enjoy the rest of your week, whatever it is you get up to. My name's John, you've been watching Auto Shenanigans, and I'll see you guys next time for another exciting episode of Secrets of the Motorway. Till then, take care, bye-bye.